Welcome to this episode of CynSpeaks. In this episode, we're going to talk about the power of thought. This is a fun topic because it can apply to everybody, and it's pretty exciting to think about, literally, pun intended. So, your thoughts are so extremely powerful. You can think of your thoughts as prayers, because whatever you think shapes so many other things. So the words that you say come from the thoughts that you think, and the words that you say are even more powerful prayers. And so when you're being mindful of your thoughts, you're being mindful of the things that you're requesting the universe or your God to fulfill for you in your life. And if you're thinking positive things, you will see that not only will positive things flow to you, the perspective that you have on the things that just happen will be more positive. Some things flow to us, some things just happen. So a flat tire, you may see that as a scenario that's stressful and negative, right? But that flat tire may have prevented you from getting into a car accident. That flat tire may guide you to the tire shop, and in that tire shop you may meet your soulmate. Like, you just really never know the why behind the process in which things happen, because there's a chain of events and things happen the way that they're supposed to. But a lot of things are shaped by our thoughts. So our perspective, our reality, our outcomes, our beliefs, our actions, those are all first shaped by the things that we think and the thoughts that we allow to stay into our minds. So when you have a thought, you get to decide if it stays or goes. When you're thinking about your life experience as an opportunity to design a customized and ideal lifestyle and life and reality, you then start to be mindful of your thoughts in a different way. And those thoughts actually are more in alignment with where you want it to go, or at least the thoughts that you decide to allow to stay must be in alignment with the reality you are working to design. And if those thoughts that you are having don't align with the life you're designing, you can let those things pass. You can let those thoughts pass through and not welcome them to stay. And you have the ability to decide that. So when you are just noticing your thoughts and observing your thoughts, you can decide what you allow to stay and go. And then what you'll notice is that whatever thoughts you are allowing to stay will attract more thoughts like it. So if you're thinking about abundance, right, and you are allowing thoughts of abundance to stay in your reality, in your mind, you will start to see that more thoughts like it will come. That works the same way. The same rule works for both sides of the coin. So if you're thinking about thoughts that are focused on abundance, right, more thoughts like it will come. If you are allowing thoughts of lack to stay, or fear-based thoughts to stay, more of those thoughts will come, but also more of those realities will present themselves into your reality. More of those scenarios will start to show up as well. So the thoughts that you're entertaining will start to shape the scenarios in which are brought into your reality, but also the people, the relationships, everything is shaped by these thoughts. So your mindfulness is so extremely important. If you are having issues deciding what needs to go and what needs to stay, the most simple scale that I can suggest for you is, if it feels good, do it. If it doesn't feel good, let it go. And it can get deeper than that. You can get very, very deep and very, very detailed in the reality that you want to create. But in the beginning stages, if there's a thought that you have and that thought doesn't feel good, don't pay it attention. Be like, okay, you can go, and let it go. If you dwell on it, if you continue to think about it, if you let it replay in your mind, and then if you go a step further and start to talk about it, you're now bringing life to that thought. So if it's a thought that you don't want in your reality, it is most beneficial to you to not even think about it anymore and stop giving it life. And that's pretty much the best way to do it. I actually didn't realize it, but as a child, when I was bullied in school, which I was bullied a little bit, and I would always take the approach of kill him with kindness. And my mom told me that like once when I was young, and I just took it and ran with it. And as all the people who bullied me know, I never once responded out of like anger or hurt. And sometimes the stuff they said hurt me, but most of the time it didn't, because I started to realize like, well, dang, I don't bully people. I'm not an unhappy person. Somebody must have been really mean to them in order for them to want to bully me. So let me be nice to them, because maybe somebody's not being nice to them. And even in like kindergarten and first grade, I was just like overly nice to people. And it worked a lot of the time. Like the people would just give up because they're like, well, we can't hurt her feelings, or we can't make her sad because she just doesn't care. So it worked in that scenario, but also like the fact that I decided to only interact with them in positive ways and only think about their bullying and what they were doing to me as in a way that allowed me to try to understand their scenario, as opposed to feel guilty or feel bad about it for myself, like feel bad for myself in the scenario. When I started to think of it like that, it stopped happening, but also I became happier, as weird as that may sound. So if I'm getting bullied, you think I'd be sad, but I actually kind of trained myself to be desensitized to negative behavior. And that's a double-edged sword for sure, because as an adult, I did allow more of that behavior than I should have in my life, because I was able to deal with it. But now I know that there's a balance. So I teach my kids about the balance. Like, don't pay attention to them in the beginning of the bullying. If they're picking at you, let them know one time to leave you alone. And then if they continue to do it, you let me know and we'll figure out a plan. And for the most part, it's worked. So that's kind of the best way to deal with it when you're with regards to like bullies and that kind of thing. In relationships, man, if I could really get people to understand how powerful their thoughts are, relationships would change. I cannot tell you how many times my thoughts were brought to life in my relationships. Every single time I expected something to happen, it happened. And my close friends know this to be true completely. If I thought it and I talked with my friends about it, I had this dream that this happened, or I just have this, I think this is going to happen. I spoke it, right? And then I gave life to it. And then I solidified it at that point. And it happened. Like, most of the time what I say happens. And I don't think that it was me necessarily seeing the future or anything like that, as much of it. That could be the case, but I don't think so. I really think it was my thoughts that became reality. And my thoughts and my beliefs that I spoke came true. That's really the only way to explain it. And it happened so many times and I didn't realize it. There were times that I would randomly be taking screenshots of something, and then it would happen. Like it's crazy. The second I was like, I hope that doesn't happen to me, bam, it happens to me. So the thoughts that you really entertain and that you repeat and that you speak and that you become obsessed with and let yourself think over and over again, expect those things to become true. So knowing that, you can then decide what you want to allow to become true and what you want to just be a pass-through thought. And some thoughts you don't want to stay. And I suggest that you really be mindful of the things that you're thinking and only allow the things that you really want to stay in your life to be repeated in your mind. Now, this is something that is already known by most marketing professionals. It's clear in our marketing messages, on commercials, on TV, the colors that are used, like all of those things shape our thoughts. The music we listen to, music is a huge one. Some people will call it like subliminal programming, which that is a factor, but not as much as the fact that lyrics that get stuck in your head, or then thoughts that are repeating in your mind, then those things come to life. Like it's a little bit crazy, and it hasn't necessarily been used to benefit society historically, but marketing people will use it to get sales. It's used all the time. So being mindful of that, the same thing that marketing professionals and marketing executives know and understand very well, you can use that to shape your reality. It's the same rule. Your brain is programmed by the things that you think and say. That's how you program your brain. And a negative person there's not a negative person or a person with a negative perspective that thinks positive. That's just not how it works. That person that has negative energy, negative thoughts, negative feelings, that person that is just mean for no reason, can guarantee you their brain is full of negative thoughts about themselves and about others. And they're probably living out of fear as well. That's a whole nother topic, but just be mindful that your thoughts are so powerful. You can think of them like prayers, or like magnets, or like you want to think of it like that. So like will attract like. What you think is what you are. So the things that you think are the things that will come to life. And if you want more good things, think more good thoughts. If you want more good people, think about the good things that people do, and think about the people in your life that are good to you. If you want more good relationships, think of the amazing, valuable relationships that you currently have. Or if you are going to dip into the past, which is a topic of its own, dip into the past for positive reasons only. Let me look for the good times that we shared. That doesn't mean you need to go back to those scenarios or those relationships, but acknowledging the good things will then speak life into your future experiences by bringing more and attracting more of those good things. So be mindful of your thoughts. If you're, I can't tell you how many times people said, I'm feeling sick. I think I'm getting sick. Bam, they're sick. If you're my friend, you know, I tell you, like, I never get sick. I really don't ever get sick. And it's very rare. And I never get sick. So I use that to my advantage. As a child, I got sick all the time. And we'll just say I grew out of it because I don't get sick anymore. So I started to say I don't get sick anymore. And I stopped getting sick. I don't get sick. So just say what you want to be and keep repeating that to yourself. Start to believe it, and you'll see how your reality is going to change. There's nothing magical about it. It just is. It's a law like gravity. It just is. So once you start to understand that you can design the life that you want by programming and practicing habits that are in alignment with that life and lifestyle, you're going to have a lot of success in building and growing that for yourself. So that's pretty much it. That was a lot of information. This is an episode that you'll probably want to play back a couple of times. Also, this is a great one to loop your friends in. On Instagram, my Instagram is always in the show notes at Cynamon Voe. Make sure you tag them in this episode preview so that they can get an idea of what the episode is about and hopefully start to be more mindful of their thoughts. Your circle is important. So if your friends are calling you constantly to vent, like that's bringing negativity into your life too. So if your friends start to be more mindful of their thoughts, you guys can hold each other accountable and practice the checks and balance system with each other and talk about what you guys are growing and manifesting. My closest circle, those are the majority of the calls that I get from them these days. It's this just happened and you said it would happen, or I said it would happen and then it happened. So we get those type of celebratory calls a lot. Our venting scenarios last very short because we know that the longer we entertain a thought, the more value in life you're speaking into it. So it's quick and brief, and then we move on to the good things. And that is the best practice for you and for your friends. So you can get your life in order, but you can also prompt your friends to get their life in order. And what a dope friend you would be to guide your friends to the higher version of themselves. So that's it for now. Just make sure you add me on Instagram, tag your friends. Until next time.